Wow, I can't believe it. Ulfric Stormcloak himself asked me on this very important mission. I really wanted to be part of the civil war between the Imperials and the Stormcloaks, but I think this mission, in the long run, might be more important. Basically wants to send me to Solstheim near Morrowind. Solstheim is mostly under Dunmer, Dark Elf control, and I know the relationship with the Dark Elves has been dicey in Skyrim, especially in Windhelm, but Ulfric is trying to overcome that by allowing refugees in the city, and also he's sending me as an envoy to Solstheim to help the Dunmer and have a potential ally for Imperial rule, because the Dunmer also chased the Imperials out of their land. I don't know very much, unfortunately, about the Dark Elves, but we have no scholars, and he was all I could spare. So hopefully I'll make it worth his while and learn what I can and do the best.
If you're looking for passage to Solstheim, you won't find a finer vessel than the Northern Maiden. I'll give you a fair price. Not many people headed over there these days. If you ask me, I can't blame them. Things aren't what they used to be out there. They still pay me for supplies and passage, and I can always use the coin. Still interested in heading over there?
Good thing Ulfric's footing the bill.
We'll cast off immediately.
Crazy. I've never been outside of Skyrim before.
Well, here we are. Welcome to Ravenrock. Just be careful here. Things aren't what they used to be.
What does that mean?
I don't recognize you. So I'll assume this is your first visit to Ravenrock, Outlander. State your intentions.
Yes, sir. I'm here on behalf of Ulfric Stormcloak to provide the best assistance I can to shore up our friendship. The Nords have always been allies of the Dunmer, and even now during this explosion of the Red Mountain, we are taking in refugees, and we'd like to further our relationship with me as assisting you here in Ravenrock.
You've picked one of the worst places in Morrowind to do that, but suit yourself. Just remember, Ravenrock is sovereign territory of House REDORAN. This is Morrowind, not Skyrim. While you're here, you will be expected to abide by our laws. Any questions?
Yes, sir.
Ravenrock started out as an Imperial settlement. The Empire decided to abandon it, just as my people were first setting foot here. They left the town a shambles, and when House REDORAN took over, we turned it around and it became ours. And even if it's been a struggle to make this island livable, we're proud to call it home.
We both have a shared dislike for the Imperials. Disgraceful, leaving his city in shambles and leaving you with all the hard work to do and to rebuild.
I have to go. As second counselor, the security of Ravenrock is my primary concern. This isn't exactly the city of Blacklight. We're on the frontier out here. We've had more than a fair share of troubles. After all we've been through together, I refuse to let Councillor Morvain down. Councillor Morvain is House REDORAN's representative on Solstheim. As second Councillor, it's my job to support him and make certain his rule is enforced. Your ignorance of our homeland doesn't surprise me. It's the capital of Morrowind. Been that way ever since Mournhold was sacked by the Argonians. I don't visit there often.
I think I heard about
but
that.
we still get the occasional supply ship and visitors from there. Quite a while ago, yes. They cut a bloody swath across most of the southern region of Morrowind. Nobody seems certain why it happened. Attempted expansion, revenge for the enslavement of their people, or perhaps both. Whatever the case may be, thousands of Dunmer needlessly lost their lives. Many more were exiled from their homeland.
Dunmer slavers? I never would have figured that. They seem so downtrodden in Skyrim. Huh. Well, I'm not excited about that.
Well met, Admiral.
I dislike the Empire, but at least the Imperials have abolished slavery for many years. Alright. I need to do Ulfric Stormcloak proud. Gotta find the, let's see if we can find the Jarl. It's amazing. All the Dunmer structures, just, their architecture is gorgeous. Just so, it's novel. They're like out of the husks of some giant shell of some beast from Morrowind or something. They look the way they look. I think they're made out of stone, but they look like the shells of some giant beast. I think I should first pay respect before finding the Jarl. I don't know if they call him the Jarl here. I should pay my respects to the temple, and that way word gets around that that's the first thing I did is respect their culture.
Are you here to pray? Or perhaps pay your respects at our ancestral tomb? There where we inter our dead. They are sacred places, meant to honor their passing. Sadly, we've been unable to use the ancestral tomb beneath the temple as of late, and have resorted to other locations to scatter the remains. Those foul vermin, the abominations we call ash spawn, have risen from the ashes of our own ancestors. They're befouling the memories of our forefathers by defiling their remains.
Well, we want to make a good impression.
Thank you, Wanderer. That would be most kind. Here, this key should open the door to the tomb. The reclamations are the true tribunal. The Daedra that consecrate the Dunmer people. Azura, Methala, and Boethia. We call them the true tribunal because they have reclaimed their place in our hearts from the false tribunal that came before. Sotha Sil, Amalexia, and Vivek represent what was. Beings who won the Dunmer people's hearts with their actions, but blinded them just the same. They were aberrations, false prophets. They used their status as heroes to shield the true tribunal from our minds. But now that they've been destroyed, the light can finally shine upon the House of Reclamations. The Dunmer race doesn't bury their dead, or leave them to rot inside a stone sarcophagus. When a Dunmer passes, his body is given to fire, so he might return to the ash from whence he came. The Dunmer don't believe that death is the end. We believe that it's the beginning.
Interesting.
Be cautious, friend. The ash spawn are soulless beings with no regard for compassion.
It sounds like the rituals of the Dunmer are being interrupted by the axe spawn, which are possessing the souls of their
Though our
ancestors.
spirits may be low and danger lurks beyond the light, I am confident that they will never abandon us again.
Ash spawn. I've heard that the Dunmer can speak to their ancestors. That their spirits reside in the tombs. Oh wow. This is not good. Gotta figure a way to destroy these guys a little bit quicker. Good thing I've been trained as a battle mage. It's not enough. Man, it's not good. Almost died back there. Maybe if I cast a powerful elemental, it'll help. Probably frost, the opposite of fire. I'll buy me some time, look at some frost spells going. Killing them, but not fast enough. There are too many. All right, I think I found the right spell. Damn, it never ends. They just keep coming. So I guess the Dark Elves or the Dunmer will bury their dead and burn the bodies, and they'll come back as ancestral spirits that can commune with the dark elves or the Dunmer. So they actually can gain wisdom from their ancestors past death, which is pretty amazing. And the Nord way, we just bury our dead, or they're very important. We'll just we do have some overlap where we set them aflame and that drift at sea. Yeah, I've heard about the original, or the what you said were the false tribunal. So they restored the Daedric Lords. The Daedric Lords, some Nords worship Daedra, some don't. Some worship the Imperial Pantheon, some worship the Nord version of the Nine Divines. It's very controversial to worship any Daedra, but some Nords do, which is different than Imperials. I think the first thing to do to fit in is I gotta find a blacksmith and acclimate myself to... Well, we can always visit the blacksmith later. Let's go visit their Jarl. He should be here somewhere. This looks like it.
I trust you're not planning any trouble. What can I do for you, friend?
Oh, it's way too early.
Anything you can contribute to Raven Rock.
Is that the counselor that I spoke to at the dock?
And rewarded appropriately, of course.
You look able to venture outside of
look over
town.
next month's
Perhaps you
expenses?
could help me recover something
have enough?
precious that was lost.
I need to stay in
As
task.
the wife to the second counselor of Raven Rock, it would be my pleasure to help you any
Very
way
well.
that I can.
Cover the difference from my
And better stay
personal
away from the second counselor's wife.
Your coppers are running low, Councillor.
On behalf of House Redoran and as Counselor of Raven Rock, I bid you welcome.
What is House Redoran?
You've never heard of House
How much
Redoran?
longer do you intend to
We're the
serve?
mightiest of the great houses, and we lead the council, the ruling body of Morrowind.
Which I've done without question for over 100 years.
This isn't Skyrim,
The closest thing
Outlander.
I've had to our brother.
A group of powerful and influential Dunmer families have been ruling Morrowind
Might have
for
suddenly
millennia.
turned my back.
They embody a council made up of
Sorry,
5
my
great
lord.
houses:
It's this item.
Telvanni,
It's not felt
Dres,
the same since we
Endoril,
left Varney
Sadras,
Fell.
and Redoran.
It's as though a part of me is missing.
He said, yeah.
Well, of course. With 4 other houses on the council, someone has to keep the rabble organized.
All we can do.
Our house leads the council by virtue of our preeminence in battle, wisdom, and ancestral glory.
Yeah.
Yes, I imagine it would to someone not of our people. If you're interested in pursuing the subject, help yourself to any of the historical volumes in my library.
So far, I'm not really doing good with relations with Dunmer, but hopefully you'll hear of me helping with their the temple priests with their problems, and maybe that will lighten the relationship a little bit.
Solstheim is theoretically under my rule, but without revenue from the mine, I lack the resources to actually govern anything but Raven Rock itself. Not that there's much beyond the confines of our town anyway. Well, there's a small enclave of Nords to the north in Skarl Village. They pretty much keep to themselves, and we both like it that way. Then there's Tel Mithrin to the east. The Telvanni live out there. Sort of a strange lot. But since we're both from Morrowind, we get along. Other than that, Solstheim is crawling with bandits and reeklings.
How much
But that's
longer
to
do
be
you
expected
intend to
living in a
serve as
frontier
shield
like
bearer?
this.
The REDORAN Council tasked me with keeping Laeral alive. Which
My
went
doors
on
are
for
open
just
if you
over
wish to
100
discuss
years.
matters involving Raven
The
Rock.
closest thing I've had to our brother, and we all owe him our lives.
We should at least consult these books a bit to acquaint ourselves better with the culture of Raven Rock. Raven Rock is one of the more interesting colonies of Morrowind of the last 2 centuries. So much has happened to this tiny town in such a short amount of time, and so many lives have been affected by it. I felt it necessary to describe its rich history within these volumes. During my research, I lived in Raven Rock for almost 3 years, and I got to know many of my fellow Dunmer who call Raven Rock their home. I hope that my readers will appreciate the amount of fortitude and perseverance that it must take to endure life in such an inhospitable and untamed land. Raven Rock was founded in the Third Era, 427, by the East Empire Company in response to the discovery of a rich ebony mine on the southern edge of the island SOLSTHEIM. The construction of the town took several months, and the mine immediately started yielding ebony ore that the miners shipped to Windhelm and Skyrim. By Third Era, 432, the town was home to over 30 people, all of whom depended on the mine for their livelihood. At this time, Raven Rock was almost exclusively inhabited by Imperials and a few Nords, who were drawn to the mine's wealth. When the Oblivion Crisis arose in Third Era, 433, Raven Rock remained largely untouched by Mehrunes Dagon's forces. I've heard about that. That's when the gate between reality, between Oblivion and Mundus opened, and the Daedra spilled forth on the land. It was crazy. And work continued as usual. The bulk of the Imperial Guard that was stationed in Raven Rock was recalled to Cyrodiil to fight the invading forces. But a few soldiers remained behind in order to protect the ebony mine from bandits. It's uncertain whether any Oblivion gates ever opened in Solstheim, as there appears to be no record of such an event ever occurring there. In the first year of the Fourth Era, after the destruction of Alderun, many Dunmer great houses sent out small groups of their own to seek places to re-establish themselves. House REDORAN's group was led by Harara Morin, who was immediately struck out for Solstheim after some quick negotiations with the East Empire Company and some speculate quite a bit of coin changing hands. Harara's group was allowed to settle in Raven Rock, where they quickly became part of the mining colony's way of life. The Dunmer proved to be both hard-working and reliable when it came to working in the mines, impressing the East Empire Company and solidifying their relationship. All was going quite well until that fateful day in the Fourth Era of 5, where Red Mountain suddenly erupted, sending a massive blast across the Sea of Ghosts that struck Solstheim with all its fury. Raven Rock was heavily damaged by this wave of force, which toppled several of its stone structures and obliterated many of the wooden ones. Ironically, the mine once again proved to be the town's saving grace, as most of the population of Raven Rock was working underground at the time and was completely shielded from the blast. This event wasn't without cost, however. Raven Rock was heavily dependent on a nearby Fort Frostmoth for its defense, but the eruption had almost completely wiped it from the face of Solstheim. The few soldiers that survived took residence in Raven Rock itself and attempted to set up a makeshift garrison there. These scant few were hardly a match for potential threats to their town. With the East Empire Company's permission, Harara brought in some of the House REDORAN's elite Redorian Guard to fill the void. The Guard proved to be an ideal replacement for the fallen Imperial soldiers and have been guarding the town ever since.
Anything you can contribute to
The History of Raven Rock, Volume 2. Forward, Raven Rock is one of the more interesting colonies of Morrowind in the last 2 centuries. So much has happened to this tiny town in such a short amount of time, and so many lives have been affected by it. I felt it necessary to describe its rich history within these volumes. During my research, I lived in Raven Rock for almost 3 years, and I got to know many of my fellow Dunmer who call Raven Rock their home. I hope that my readers will appreciate the amount of fortitude and perseverance. Like the forward's the same. After a few years, the relentless ash storms from the ever-erupting Red Mountain had transformed Solstheims' southern reaches into pure ash wastes. Is that how the ash spawn arose? Reminiscent of those present in Vardenfell itself, the storms would leave behind deep dunes of ash that made life exceedingly difficult in Raven Rock. In order to protect the town from these drifts, Ferrara, Morvain, proposed that the East Empire Company construct a large wall. That's that impressive structure that we saw coming in, of her own design to protect the east end of the town. The company quickly agreed and provided the necessary funds. After almost a year, the construction was complete, and the huge edifice was named the Bulwark. The wall proved to be extremely effective and allowed work to continue unabated in the mines. In 4th Era 16, when Solstheim was passed into the hands of the Dunmer people, the East Empire Company was forced to relinquish Raven Rock's control to House REDORAN. The council quickly named Ferrara Morvan as councillor of the new town and allowed her to rule Solstheim as she saw fit. As a result of this changing of the guard, almost the entire Imperial population left Raven Rock and returned to Cyrodiil. Ferrara continued to welcome Dunmer that elected to settle on Solstheim. Some chose to stay in Raven Rock and work the mines, and others took to more familiar territory and began a nomadic lifestyle and in the ash wastes. The next few decades were the golden years of Raven Rock. Ferrara Morvain was keeping the peace, the mines were still producing large quantities of ebony, and the Dunmer that lived on the island were happy. After almost 50 years of prosperity, in the 4th Era 65, Ferrara Morvain finally succumbed to old age and passed away. She was interred at the family's ancestral tomb, and her son, Thorel Morvain, took her place. The people who had lived in Raven Rock during Ferrara's time as a counselor were pleased to discover that Thorel shared his mother's notions of rulership. He was fair and compassionate, which kept the people on the island quite happy for many decades. Then what happened?
Will be greatly
I'm sorry, my
appreciated.
lord. It's
The History of Raven Rock, Volume 3. I think we can skip this forward. All was going well in Raven Rock until 4th Era 95, when an attempt on Lurel's life was made without warning. Fortunately, the attack was unsuccessful, thanks to the prowess of the Redorian Guard. Under the questioning by Captain Modain Valek, the assassin was revealed to be Burl Ulan of the House Valou. I know these great houses. I almost remember something in my years. I got a little preparation in the year before I was to set out for this mission, and House Valou used to have a good relationship with the Empire, and when the Empire was when Morrowind was under the Empire's thumb, and then the Empire lost control as they're losing in Skyrim, and Valou fell out of grace with the Dunmer people for betraying their country to outsiders, and REDORAN took over, who's running Raven Rock, so it's probably why House Valou, any remnants would try to exact vengeance on House REDORAN. House Valou had been at odds with the House REDORAN for years following the removal from the Council of Great Houses. The Valou believed that House REDORAN was instrumental in this reorganization, and had held a grudge ever since. Their attempts on Lurel's life was meant to send a message to the Council that the House REDORAN was not as mighty as they reported, and that they were truly vulnerable and weak. The REDORAN Guard investigated further and discovered that Valur had been organizing a coup in Raven Rock, an attempt to fully wrest control out of the island from Lurel's grasp. Valur and his conspirators were executed and the coup was quelled. Several recent events have served to solidify the Dunmer people's respect for Lurel Morvain. In the 4th Era 130, the Bulwark began to show its age and threatened to crumble, the council elected to use the bulk of this personal fortune to have it repaired. The 4th Era 150, a small force of Argonians, landed on Solstheim with the intent of wreaking havoc on the island, and the Councillor Morvain led the charge against them personally. And in the 4th Era 170, when the ebony mine finally began to dry up, he drained the remainder of his coffers to keep the people fed. By the 4th Era 181, the mine's ebony veins were completely exhausted. Lorel ordered the mine to be shut down, and Raven Rock turned into a hunting and fishing for its trade. A few Dunmer families departed Solstheim and returned to the mainland, but most stayed behind. At present, Lorel Morvan is still the ruler of Raven Rock. The REDORAN Guard continues to maintain order within the town and the surrounding area, keeping Raven Rock's residents safe and in line. If even so much as a rumor of dissent reaches Lorel's ears, he has it quashed immediately. He is well aware that there may be a few Halu loyalists still present among her population that would like to see him dead. The future may appear bleak for Raven Rock, but the spirit of its inhabitants will never be broken.
And rewarded appropriately, of course.
That's very interesting. Right here. I don't know if this has to do with Raven Rock. Let's not overwhelm ourselves quite yet. We can always read these books later. It's enough that we have kind of a background, so we'll know not to mention Halu, the House Halu, in the good light when we're around the REDORAN. There should be a captain of the guard here somewhere.
Keep moving.
I'm curious, is there a way... Wow, that's impressive. Ah, there's Red Mountain itself, still erupting. That's why all the drove the Dunmer to Skyrim. It's part of the blast that
If you're looking for supplies,
destroyed a lot of this town.
he'll set you up with whatever you need.
Yeah, it looks like the Dunmer are still reeling from the Argonian invasion and revolt, and the Red Mountain exploding. I can't say I begrudge the Argonians for revolting against their masters, but you know, because yeah, it's just slavery is evil. But how do you say the Red Mountain sounds like it kind of affected everybody. And my understanding is it's not all the houses that engage in slavery in Morrowind. At least that's what, you know, I've heard from some Dunmer. Is that the captain of the guard? Crap, we gotta get over there. Let's use yeah, it looks like the frost magic worked last time. Still put me in their good graces.
Thanks. I wasn't sure I'd make it off this farm alive. I wish I could have said the same for my man here. Some of the REDORAN Guard have taken to calling them ash spawn. Me, I don't care what they're called. All I know is they're a danger to Raven Rock and they need to be stopped.
How'd that bring you to this old farm?
I was going to search for clues that might lead me to wherever they're coming from. I know it isn't the best place to start, but we know they've been coming from this direction. Good. I can use all the help I can get. Besides, I don't feel comfortable leaving.
This helped me rise up to the ranks in
I hate to lose
Raven
any more
Rock.
REDORAN Guard. We were searching the farm when the ash spawn ambushed us. Have a look around and see if you can turn up anything useful. No one knows, really. Superstitious folks say they're the risen forms of those that died long ago, but I'm not so certain. They started attacking the bulwark a few weeks ago. My men were able to kill them, but they keep coming back. We've had 2 other assaults on the bulwark, at different spots on the wall. I know it sounds crazy, but it's almost like they're becoming more organized and probing it for weaknesses. Exactly. Something has to be directing them against us, and we need to find out who or what it is. I don't. All I know is that the ash spawn are coming from this direction, so this is as good a place to start as anywhere else. Good thing the farm's been abandoned for a long time. I'd hate to see what they would do to an unarmed farmer and his family. Not sure. I was told it was an old Imperial farm that was wiped out by the eruption of the Red Mountain. Not certain who lived there. It was already a pile of rubble when I arrived in Raven Rock. Report back to me if you discover anything unusual.
Oh. Well, this will help ingratiate me in their culture if I can. You mind if I take this armor here? Yeah. Oh, hold. Oh, this is so cool. Just the whole culture of Morrowind and all of its kind of its architecture and its style of armor and weaponry and clothing is just amazing. Looks like they were growing some ash yams. Oh, there's not much here. It's gotta be something. Hey, what's in here? Declaration of war. Let's take a quick look. This might be some good intel for Ulfric. Declaration of war. Raven Rock Stronghold. My call for unconditional surrender of your forces and immediate cessation of all hostilities has been ignored numerous times. I therefore have no choice but to assume your purpose and SOLSTHEIM is hostile and treat Raven Rock Stronghold as an enemy of the Empire. I warn you, the attempt to reach Fort Frostmoth will be met with an equal level of aggression. I'll do everything in my power to wipe you and your forces off the face of Camriel. There will be no further communications between us. Weird, it's not signed. So, like, it's just, like, how is he supposed to know?
Have you found something? This is strange.
Probably no ash spawn ate a random note.
Folks, Carius, but that's impossible.
From a general?
Well, Carius was the Imperial garrison commander at Fort Frostmoth, but he died over 200 years ago when the Red Mountain leveled the place.
Crazy.
There's no way he could still be alive. If General Carius is still alive, there must be something keeping him that way. I need you to head out to Fort Frostmoth and check it out. I'm gonna head back to Raven Rock and prepare the men for further assaults.
Just me?
Be careful. This General Carius sounds out of his mind.
Well, I really care about the Stormcloak cause, so I'll probably die, but this solidifies my relationship with Morrowind, and you know, if I can pull this off, that will I'll basically be able to probably forge a alliance between the Nords and the Dunmer that will be hard to be broken, so it's worth the risk. General, to kill a undead, probably undead, vampire or something. Imperial General from 200 years ago? Now, also, that it just, yeah, that'll stir anti-imperial sentiment with the Dunmer. Oh man. Need Frost to fight the because they're like from the ashes of the fire of Red Mountain. Good thing I'm an expert battle mage. Let's see.
Men, an invader has entered the fort. Prepare yourselves for an ambush.
Wait, a speed? They're all zombies.
Lord Frostmoth will never fall. Long live the Empire!
Crazy. Oh. Huh. I could free up my other hand. Let's do it. The Tamake lap. And try and oh, weird. No matter what mouse button I click, it always select either left or right. Okay. Goodness. Oh, I have to. Oh, okay, I get it. Okay. And then. But it's that the click with the left mouse button no matter what. Select it one at a time. Oh man. crazy. We gotta go further in. Yeah, when Ulfric Stormcloak gave me this assignment, I had no idea. It's gonna be so crazy. Looks like I gotta get in that room. So I gotta find the key. There's gotta be a key here somewhere. And lockpicking is not my forte. It's like they had Imperials of the garrison were well stocked up on some wine from the old country, some brandy from the old country, some good old fashioned Nord Skyrim mead, and of course lots of cheese. Man, yeah, I'll have to show them this catch and use that as a political tool to show the Dunmer that the Imperials were living it up at their expense. Okay. Maybe there's a key in this direction. I'm gonna have to use fire for this part. I don't know, hopefully I don't burn the place down. Oh. Well. Ooh, I don't know if I'm ready for whatever's down here. Man, there's gotta be one of these. Gotta be a key here somewhere. key here somewhere? The guard had the key. Doesn't look like. Not good. Ah, here's the key. Alright. There's the Imperial General journal. What happened to him? It's been almost a month since unearthing the crypt at Fort Frostma, and I haven't seen a single spark of life in the General's remains. Drafting the Hearthstone of the subject is proving much more difficult than I... Is this the General's? I can't remember the General's name. Is this the General's personal journal, or is this somebody else's? I've almost used every method I can think of, and still there's no sign of reanimation. At this rate, it could be years before I make any progress, which is time that I just can't afford right now. If my vengeance come to fruition, I need results. If not, I may need to resort to more drastic measures. It finally appears that I'm making some progress. After my latest experiment, General Harris's eyes briefly opened. Yeah, this must be somebody else. This must be like a necromancer's or Ashspawn necromancer's journal. Briefly opened and he moved his arms. It lasted for less than a few moments, but it's the first signs of progress I've seen since I've arrived here. A few of my assistants were insisting that I was imagining things. I dismissed them for their insolence. They won't be bothering anyone ever again. General Carius awoke fully today. He bolted upright after my incantations began staggering around like a blind man. He seems to ignore my commands. In fact, hearing my voice seems to increase his hostility. I was able to remove the Hearthstone before it became violent. But this isn't the result I expected. Even though he is able to be awakened, I feel as though the real work has just begun. Day 59. The General is still unable or unwilling to listen to any of my commands. He's acting increasingly paranoid and appears to have his own free will. He is convinced that I am a spy or the enemy. I had to restrain him to prevent him from outright attacking me. This is becoming intolerable. I'm beginning to wonder if someone with a Hearthstone can be commanded at all. If my experience with General Carius fail, I may have to resort to self-experimentation, something I've been avoiding for a long time. I wonder if this necromancer experimented on himself and he died, or if the General killed him. Ooh, a health and mana potion. At any rate, I think we're going to find out if the General is a zombie or not when we go through that passage that was locked. Trying to gain my bearings. Where was that door? Okay. Crazy. Looks like it's gonna be a little bit tougher than I thought. Hold on. Yeah, I better get rid of some of my stuff. I'm gonna become over encumbered. Yeah, this will get me in good with the Dunmer. Yeah, but it's not the Jarl. When the head of Ravenrock sees that I have the Dunmer armor, I've got the culture, I've helped them, their religious leaders, I've helped their army. They're gonna like me. Where'd he go? The odds. Oh. Well, first I should report to the general.
Glover Mallory is a wonder with the old hammer and anvil. He mended me armor like an old pro.
Where am I gonna find the general at? Looks like he's at the local watering hole.
There's nothing beyond the bulwark, except...
I work for Mogrel. You got a problem, you talk to him.
Man, he's getting sauced.
What news do you bring from Fort Frostmoth? I had my suspicions that he was undead. How else could he have survived for over 200 years?
Probably getting sauced because he thought he sent me to my death.
There are quite a few tales of General Curious's exploits, including the founding of Raven Rock. Councillor Morvain told me to give this to you if you made it back in one piece. And you got rid of General Curious. Better than a soldier's pay, so you should be thankful.
Oh wow, nice.